I challenged myself to beat Pokémon FireRed and LeafGreen in a Hardcore Nuzlocke, but with a twist. I can only use Pokémon that Red has captured in the Pokémon Adventures manga. For this playthrough, I will only use Red's canonical team from the manga. If he caught a Pokémon sometime in his journey, I can use it. In addition, I will be playing with Hardcore Nuzlocke rules, which means I can only catch the first Pokémon on each route. If a Pokémon faints, it's permanently boxed, I can't use items in battle, and I can't level up past the gym leader's ace. Also, I will be playing on set mode and nicknaming every Pokémon to build that emotional bond. Let's see how this goes. On his adventures throughout Kanto, Red catches a wide range of Pokémon. The Pokémon that I can use are his main team, as well as a few other team members he caught on his journey. Red catches many Pokémon in the Safari Zone, so from this image, I will be using Nidoqueen or Nidoking, depending on which one I encounter first. Parasect will be my Mount Moon encounter. Victory Bell are everywhere before the Safari Zone, which leaves Execute as my Safari Zone encounter. With all that planning out of the way, let's start with the challenge. Our adventure starts in Palatown. I name myself Red, my rival Blue, and officially start my Pokemon journey. Now in the manga, Red did not get along with Professor Oak. He accidentally released a bunch of Pokemon from the lab, including a Bulbasaur, and the two of them tracked him down. In the end, Red bonded with the Bulbasaur and Professor Oak let him keep it. In the game, however, Professor Oak just gives us a Bulbasaur for free.
You stupid!
I take the Bulbasaur and name him Soar. After defeating our rival, we leave Palatown to officially begin our journey. On Route 22, I catch a Spearow as my first encounter. In the manga, Red catches a Fearow to stop it from attacking Bill. He never uses it in battle, so he never gave it a nickname, so I decided to name him Arrow, based on how Red names his team. In Viridian Forest, I catch a Pikachu named Pika. In the manga, Red's Pikachu was a little menace who stole everyone's food in Pewter City. Thankfully, our Pikachu is a lot nicer and joins the team without much of a fight. With all possible encounters done, I leveled up the team to match Brock's Onix. I'm not too worried since Soar has a type advantage, but then again, Brock's Pokemon are all rock hard, so I don't want to take any chances. Brock leads with his Geodude, and I lead with Soar. Since we have the 4x type advantage, this battle is a piece of cake. Bulbasaur one-shots his Geodude with a Vine Whip. Brock sends out his Onix, but we style on him by putting Onix to sleep, then one-shotting him with another Vine Whip. I guess Brock was just a little distracted. Maybe he was just busy drone striking Pokemon centers in Johto. That's badge number 1. I proceed to the next route where I catch a Nidoran named Nido on Route 3. Red has a Nidoking and a Nidoqueen, but I can only catch one Pokemon per route, so I'll be using Nidoqueen. I was kinda hoping for a Nidoking since the first page in the manga is Red showing some kids how to catch a Nidorino. I'm happy with Nidoqueen though. I don't plan to use her too much, so it's not a big deal. On Route 4, I buy the Magikarp from the Magikarp salesman for 500 Pokédollars. When Magikarp evolves into Gyarados at level 20, the game difficulty will immediately drop. Gyarados is such an overpowered Pokemon. Usually I like to ban certain Pokemon like Gyarados or Crobat because they're so good and almost always guaranteed, but I decided to use him since he's a core member of Red's team. I call him Gyara and add him to the party. In Red's adventures, his Gyarados was originally Misty's Pokemon. Team Rocket captured it, but Red and Misty worked together to tame and recapture him. In the end, Misty saw the bond between Gyarados and Red, so she decided to trade for Red's Krabby. In Mount Moon, I get our next encounter, a Paras named Para. Even after evolving into Parasect, Paras won't be of much use for us. He does resist Lieutenant Surge's electric attacks, and he can learn Dig, so he won't be completely useless. In the manga, Red never uses his Parasect in battle. Our Paras will be mostly moral support too. As we travel through Mount Moon, Soar evolves into Ivysaur, Nido evolves into Nidorina, and Gyara evolves into Gyarados. In Cerulean City, we first take on our rival Blue at Nugget Bridge. Blue leads with his Pidgeotto, and I lead with Pika. Pidgeotto is a 2-shot with Thunder Shock, but he fires back with a Sand Attack.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
It immediately pays off as Pika misses a Thunder Shock, but we're able to tank a Tackle and a critical hit Quick Attack to take out the Pidgeotto next turn. Blue sends out his Rattata next, so I switch into Nido. We take out the Rattata with a double kick, and Blue sends out Abra. I switch into Gyara because I want him out when Charmander switches in. We take out the Abra, and then finish off his Charmander with a few bites. After defeating Blue, I head north and clear out Nugget Bridge. A member of Team Rocket tries to recruit us, but we take his nugget and continue on with our journey.
So I'm gonna pay you $100 to fuck off.
On Route 24, I catch a Bellsprout named Tree. Tree for Victory Bell, not Bellsprout. Look, this is Red's way of choosing nicknames, not mine. I think it's pretty dumb. Red would definitely have a team with Ass the Frostlass and Pooh the Poochiana. In the manga, Red never uses his Victory Bell, but I will keep Tree in the party for Misty to avoid overusing Soar. I continue through the route and get to Bill's house, where we catch Bill in the middle of fusing with the Clefairy?
That's suspicious. That's weird.
We don't ask any questions, and in return, he gives us the SS ticket so we can board the SS Ant. On the way there, Tree evolves into Weepinbell, and Arrow evolves into Fearow. With everything finally cleared up, we're ready to challenge Misty. Misty leads with her Staryu, and I lead with Tree. Staryu outspeeds and sets up a Harden, but a single Vine Whip is almost enough to take out Staryu. After a few more Vine Whips, Staryu finally goes down. Next up is their Starmie. Since Water Pulse confused us earlier, I swap into Gara to tank a Swift. A few bites later, and Starmie goes down. That's badge number 2. Afterwards, I head south to reach Vermilion City. There, we get a new encounter at Diglett Cave, a Diglett named Diggy. In the manga, Red used Diglett for one battle against a type-changing Eevee. For our adventures, I'll keep Diggy to help with Lieutenant Surge. With my shiny new SS ticket, I board the SS Ant and look for the captain. Before I can talk to him and get the HM for cut, Blue challenges us to a fight. He leads with his Pidgeotto, and I lead with Pika. Thundershock is a 2-shot again, and Pidgeotto hits us with another sand attack. This time, however, Pika lands his next Thundershock, but just barely misses out on the kill. Blue doesn't heal though, going for quick attack spam and sacking his Pidgeotto. Blue sends out Raticate next, so I switch into Gara to immediately cut his attack with Intimidate. Gara is able to tank all of Raticate's Hyper Fangs and finish him off with Bites. Next is Kadabra, but I decide to stay in with Gara. Kadabra goes for a Disable, but luckily it misses and Gara is able to one-shot him with Bite. Last is his starter Charmeleon. I switch into Arrow to weaken him with Fury Attack, but Arrow gets burned, so I need to switch him out. Gara comes in and finishes off the Charmeleon with 2 bites, winning us the battle. We find the captain, rub his back with our 10-year-old hands,
Hello everyone, James Charles here,
and take the HM for cut. After the ship leaves, we do a little more training, where Para evolves into Parasect. I teach him Dig just in case something goes wrong with Diggy. Now, with our team maxed out, we're finally ready to take on Lieutenant Surge. And there's not much to say for this battle. Diggy sweeps through his entire team with high roll magnitudes. Magnitude 10, dead. Magnitude 8, dead. Magnitude 7, almost dead. Magnitude 7, now he's dead. What can I say? If a strategy works, don't overcomplicate it. That's badge number 3. After defeating Lieutenant Surge, I head east of Cerulean and make my way through Dark Cave. I decide to brute force my way through instead of backtracking to get the HM for Flash. After a bit of blindly walking around, I make it out to Lavender Town. On Route 8, I catch a Sandshrew and name him Shrew. Shrew the Sandshrew. Really creative, I know. Red never uses Sandshrew in battle, so he doesn't have a nickname. He only used him to put out a fire from some wild Magmar. At this point, Kanto opens up more, so I can get to Celadon City to pick up the gift Eevee. In the manga, Red's Eevee was experimented on by Team Rocket. He could evolve into Jolteon, Flareon, and Vaporeon whenever he wanted, and also back to Eevee after the battle. After Red rescued Eevee, he helped him heal. Their friendship helped Eevee evolve into an Espeon. Unfortunately, there is no way to obtain Espeon in FireRed and LeafGreen, so Eevee will remain unevolved. I name him V and leave him in the PC forever. Instead, I use a Moonstone to evolve Nido into Nidoqueen for the extra stats. With the team maxed out, I decide to challenge Erika. She leads with her Victory Bell and I lead with Arrow. Right as I start the battle, I realize I forgot to teach Aerial Ace to Arrow, so we're forced to improvise. Arrow brings Victory Bell to low health, but Erika heals. Arrow then gets paralyzed twice, so I'm forced to swap into Gara. However, 2 Dragon Rages are enough to take out the Victory Bell. Erika goes into Tangela next, so I swap into Nido to tank a Giga Drain. A few Poison Stings and Body Slams later, and Tangela goes down. Erika sends out her Ace Vileplume, but I stay in with Nido and land a critical hit Body Slam. Vileplume brings us in the red with another Giga Drain, but Nido lands a second crit and takes out the Vileplume, winning us the 4th gym badge. At this point, I get the HM for Fly and start working on the main story. I storm through Rocket Hideout and easily take out Giovanni with Nido. Using the Water Pulse I got from Misty, Nido can one-shot Onyx and Rhyhorn. Last is Giovanni's Kangaskhan, but a few double kicks take her out and her baby too. But instead of giving us the Earth Badge, he leaves the Sylph Scope behind. With our new Sylph Scope, I fly to Lavender Town and rescue Mr. Fuji. On the way up though, we're challenged by Blue again, who definitely is not there to Morton his dead Raticate. But after defeating Erika, our level advantage makes this a very easy fight. Blue leads with his Pidgeotto again, and I lead with Pika. At this point, Pika has learned Thunderbolt, which makes Pidgeotto an easy one-shot. Blue sends out Gyarados next, which really makes me question his AI. Pikachu one-shots him with a 4-time super effective Thunderbolt. Next is Execute, so I switch into Fearow and one-shot him with a Fly. Blue sends out his Kadabra, who tanks a Pursuit and manages to crit and confuse Arrow with Confusion. Looking back, Fly definitely would have one-shot Kadabra. Sometimes, the super effective move isn't always the best option. Now, I'm forced to switch out into Gara. Kadabra lands a second crit, but Gara makes quick work of Kadabra. Finally, Blue's last Pokemon Charmeleon goes down to 2 Dragon Rages. With that out of the way, we climb Lavender Tower and calm the Ghost Marowak with a couple Water Pulses. After clearing through Team Rocket, we rescue Fuji and get the Pokeflute. With our new Pokeflute, we can wake up the sleeping Snorlax. These Snorlax are a pain to catch. They spam rests and are always healing themselves, which makes lowering their HP difficult. Their Stab Headbutt does a lot of damage too, so if you're not prepared, you could easily lose a team member. I started the battle with Leech Seed from Soar to make it a little easier, since I could passively heal each turn. Whenever Snorlax's HP was in the red, he would use Rest, so there was no chance of Leech Seed killing him. Except right now, when Snorlax decided to use Headbutt instead of sleeping. But it's okay, thankfully there's a second Snorlax south of Lavender Town. This time, I'm more careful and we manage to catch him. I name him Snore and add him to the party. In the manga, Red Snorlax was an absolute powerhouse. In the final battle against Blue, Snorlax defeated Blue's Machamp, even at a type disadvantage. Machamp knocked Snorlax high up into the sky, but Snorlax came crashing down with a double edge, one-shotting Machamp. Also, the manga gave us this cursed image of Hard Snorlax. This panel was burned into my memory as a child, so now you get to share that with me. After catching Snorlax, the rest of Kanto opens up. I decide to take Cycling Road down to Fuchsia City. After clearing out the bikers, Soar evolves into Venusaur. I also use the Leaf Stone to evolve Tree into Victory Bell, so his name can kind of make sense. After reaching Fuchsia City, I grab the Good Rod and backtrack to Route 6 for our next encounter, a Poliwag. In the manga, Red's first Pokemon was a Poliwhirl. He used Poliwhirl to weaken the Wild Nidorino in the very first panels. Him and Poliwrath were inseparable, and although we couldn't get Poliwag earlier, I got him as soon as we could. And as if fate decided it, Poliwag yawned, took a nap, and went straight into a Great Ball. Welcome to the team, Poly. In Fuchsia City, I also catch an Execute named Egu. In the manga, Execute was one of the Pokemon Red caught in the Safari Zone, but he never nicknamed him or used him in battle. After getting the HM for Surf, I also find a pair of dentures lying on the ground. I pick them up and return them to the Warden, who gives us the HM for Strength. To prepare for the battle against Koga, I level up my team to the level cap. In that time, Poly evolves into Poliwhirl and then into Poliwrath. Sabrina and Koga are meant to be fought in any order. They have the same level cap at level 43. So, to prevent overleveling, I decide to stop at level 41 to fight Koga. With the team maxed out, we take on the Poison Gym Leader. Koga leads with his coughing, and I send out Snore. 2 body slams are enough to finish off the super spreader.
Your body's covering up this election! He's stealing that!
Next is Muck, who manages to set up 3 minimizes. Luckily, Snore has good aim and finishes off the Muck with 2 body slams. Koga sends out his second coughing, but 2 body slams finish him off as well. Last is Koga's ace, his Weezing. With our accuracy lowered from coughing, I switch into Gara to take out Weezing. But Weezing manages to use Toxic on us and lower our accuracy with Smokescreen. Not wanting to risk missing an attack, I switch into Poly to finish off the Weezing with 2 Surfs. And with that, that's badge number 5. Instead of heading straight to Sabrina, I backtrack to Pewter City to pick up the Old Amber. With Surf unlocked, I go straight to Cinnabar Island and revive our final team member, Aero the Aerodactyl. In the manga, Red was given the Old Amber by Giovanni. He resurrected Aerodactyl and used him in the fight against Moltres. With Aerodactyl added to the team, our roster is finally complete. I level Aerodactyl up to match the team and clear through Sylph Co. Blue is here too, and he challenges us to a battle. He leads with his Pidgeot, and I lead with Pika. 2 Thunderbolts is enough to finish off the big bird. Blue's AI sends out Gyarados again, who gets outsped and goes down to a single Thunderbolt.
You stupid.
They're not.
What's
Thunderbolt into Gyarados.
21.
you stupid?
Blue sends out his Execute next, so I switch into Arrow for his first major battle. He gets paralyzed, but immediately one-shots Execute with a Fly. Blue sends out Alakazam next, so I switch into Snore. Alakazam sets up a Reflect, but Snore lands a critical hit Body Slam and one-shots him. Last is Blue's ace, Charizard. Charizard outspeeds and burns us with a Flamethrower. In return, Snore's Body Slam hardly does any damage, but manages to paralyze Charizard back. I switch into Polly, who takes out the Charizard with 2 Surfs. Charizard only used Scary Face, so I'm guessing the AI saw that we outsped, so it prioritized moves that lowered speed. Either way, we come out with a clean victory against Blue. After the battle, I stupidly talked to the Lapras guy thinking I could reject his offer, but he didn't give me a choice.
You stupid.
He added Lapras to my PC box, so of course, I immediately released him. I cleared the rest of Sylph Co. and rescued the president from Giovanni. As usual, Giovanni was a piece of cake. Gara takes out his Nidorino and Rhyhorn with a few Surfs. Giovanni sends out Kangaskhan next, so I switch into Soar. I forgot Kangaskhan has Early Bird, so I keep trying to put him to sleep. Eventually, I switch into Snore to take her out with a Body Slam. Giovanni sends out Nidoqueen, but I stay in and use Body Slam. Nidoqueen sets up a Tail Whip, then lands a critical hit Body Slam. Snore just barely survives, so I play it safe and switch into Polly to take her out with a Body Slam. And with that, Giovanni was defeated. I talk to the president and get my useless Master Ball and head straight to Sabrina. Sabrina tries to tell us a story about how she would bend spoons with her psychic powers, but I have a better one.
Hey dog, get some ice cream? Only a spoonful.
She leads with Kadabra and I lead with Snore. Kadabra sets up a Reflect, but that's no match for Snore's physical Shadow Ball. Next is Mr. Mime, but a few Shadow Balls is enough to take her out too. Sabrina sends out Venomoth, who is not a Psychic type. I always liked when gym leaders had Pokemon that broke the monotype but fit the theme. Plus, it's an easy one-shot for Arrow. With one Fly, Venomoth goes down. Last is Sabrina's Alakazam. Since I'm full HP, I stay in and use Bite. Which was a stupid decision because if Alakazam had crit his Psychic, Arrow would be dead. I should have gone for a Fly if I wanted to stay in. Sometimes a strong stab move is better than a super effective move. I feel like I've heard that before. I switch into Gara for some chip, but Alakazam's Psychics are too strong. I swap into Polly, forgetting that he's part fighting type, and risk losing him to a high roll.
You stupid.
I swap back into Snore, and I'm forced to risk dying to a critical hit. I manage to rest back up to full HP and Sleep Talk into Body Slam, winning us the battle and the 6th badge. Definitely played that one a little sloppy. Alakazam could have taken out 3 or 4 members if I wasn't careful. Luckily, our team was strong enough to cover our mistakes, but this just goes to show how a couple bad plays could lead to losing half your team. After that close call, I fly to Cinnabar Island to take on Blaine. With our full team of 6, I stumble through the Pokemon Mansion, find the secret key, and challenge Blaine. But with 2 water types on our team, I don't expect this to be a difficult fight. And it isn't. Serve cleanly one-shots Blaine's Growlithe, Ponyta, and Rapidash. Arcanine has a little more bulk however, but that's no problem for 2 Surfs. Or 3. Or 4. Finally, Blaine is out of Hyper Potions, and Polly is able to take out Arcanine, winning us the 7th badge. With no time to spare, I immediately head to Giovanni. With 2 water types and a grass type, I have no worries for this fight. Giovanni leads with his Rhyhorn and I lead with Gara. One by one, his Pokemon fall to this Leviathan. First Rhyhorn, dead. Second Rhyhorn, for some reason, dead. Dugtrio, dead. Nidoqueen, just barely survives. But even with the heals, 2 Surfs are enough to knock her out. Last up is Giovanni's ace, Nidoking. He goes for a weak Thrash, but that's no match for Gara's bulk. With 2 Surfs, Nidoking goes down, winning us the 8th and final badge. On the way to Victory Road, I get stopped by Blue one last time. He leads with his Pidgeot, and I lead with Gara this time. At this point in the game, having Pika on the team is more of a liability without access to a Light Ball. A stab quick attack from Pidgeot would do too much damage, so I lead with Gara to get an Intimidate off, then switch into Aerodactyl to resist the wing attack. 2 ancient powers are enough to take the big bird down. Blue sends out Gyarados next, so I go into our own Gyara to tank the Hydro Pump. Gyara finishes off the mirror matchup with a few bites while Blue's Gyarados spams Leer. Rhyhorn comes out next, but next is Execute, but a fly one-shots through the paralysis. Execute actually goes for a Solar Beam, which I wasn't expecting. I know he's a Grass type, but it still trips me out to see a dozen eggs use a Grass type move. Blue sends out his Alakazam next, and I clearly still haven't learned my lesson. Luckily, Alakazam misses a Disable, which lets me safely switch into Snore to take Alakazam out with a Shadow Ball. Last is Blue's ace Charizard. He goes for a hard Flamethrower, but Snore tanks it before I switch out to Polly. Polly gets burned, but luckily I'm running Special Poliwrath. I forget again that Polly is part Fighting type, so he has to tank a super effective Stab Wing attack before firing off a final Surf, winning us the battle. After healing the team, we head through the badge checkers and head into Victory Road. The strength puzzles are no match for our mighty intellect, so we're able to make it through in one piece. No last minute exploding Gravelers this time. Before taking on the Elite Four, I prepare by grabbing some important items. First, I fly around Kanto and collect all the hidden PP ups. Next, I get the item finder from Professor Oak's aid so I can get the 2 hidden leftovers. I give them to my 2 bulkiest Pokemon, Soar and Snore. Then, I turn to the Life of Crime and teach Thief to Nido. Nido steals a black belt from a trainer at the fighting dojo for Polly, a magnet from a wild Magneton for Pika, and a Heartstone from a wild Onix for Arrow. The final item for our team is a Mystic Water for Gyara. With all those items done, we're finally ready to take on the Elite Four. Everyone is leveled up to level 60 to match Lance's Dragonite. Here's a full team with their movesets. Let's see how this goes. First up is Lorelei. She leads with her Dugong, and I lead with Pika. Dugong sets up a safeguard, and 2 Thunderbolts are enough to take him out. Next is Cloyster, but I know Cloyster has really bad special defense, so I stay in and one-shot her with a Thunderbolt. Lorelei sends out Slowbro next, who also gets one-shot by a Thunderbolt. I guess I take back what I said about Pika earlier, since he is definitely putting in the work. Lorelei sends out Lapras next. Pika takes out a chunk of her HP with Thunderbolt, but Lapras is just too bulky. She confuses us with Confuse Ray, so I play it safe and switch into Polly, who tanks an Ice Beam and retaliates with the Black Belt boosted Brick Break. Lorelei sends out Jinx, and this time I remember that Polly is part Fighting type. I switch into Snorlax, who falls asleep to a lovely kiss. I somehow forget that Snorlax has Sleep Talk and try to use Shadow Ball while asleep. Look at that. 4 turns of sleep where I could have used Sleep Talk. Eventually, Snorlax wakes up and one-shots Jinx with the Shadow Ball, winning us the first Elite Four battle. Next up is Bruno. He leads with his Onix, and I lead with Polly. I came prepared for this fight. Since I'm running a Special Poliwrath, I gave him the TM for Psychic and Ice Beam.
My fellow Americans, I think we all know where this is going, so let's just skip to the end.
Onix, dead. Onix 2, dead. Hitmonchan, dead. Hitmonlee, dead. Machamp, need to switch into Gyara, but a few serves later, Machamp goes down too, winning us the second Elite Four battle. Third is Agatha. She leads with her Gengar, and I lead with Polly. Her Gengar manages to Toxic Poison us, but a single Psychic takes her out. Agatha sends out Golbat next. I want to preserve Polly for a Psychic, so I switch into Arrow to tank a soft Air Cutter. 1 Rock Slide is enough to take out the giant bat. Next is Arbok, so I switch into Gyara to shake off the Intimidate. Arbok only spams Screeches, so I set up Dragon Dance before taking her out with an Earthquake. Agatha sends in Gengar next, so I switch into Snorlax. 1 Shadow Ball isn't enough to take her out, which gives Gengar the opportunity to put us to sleep with Hypnosis. But after a few turns of sleep, Snore finishes the Gengar off, leaving Agatha's Haunter. But I guess Haunter decided he's done with life and tries to commit suicide. 1 Shadow Ball later, and Haunter falls, winning us the third Elite Four battle. Last up is Lance, the scariest Elite Four member for me. But with counters to his flying types and Ice Beams from Polly, I feel confident in our team. He leads with Gyarados, so I lead with Pika. 1 Thunderbolt later, and Gyarados is down. Next up is Dragonair. I switch into Polly as Dragonair wastes a turn setting up Safeguard. The next turn, Polly outspeeds and one-shots Dragonair with an Ice Beam. Next is Aerodactyl, who does a decent chunk with the wing attack. I definitely didn't forget that Poliwrath is part fighting type again. Luckily, Aerodactyl doesn't crit, and a single surf takes him out. Lance sends out his Dragonite, and again I forget that Poliwrath is part fighting type. Fortunately, he doesn't crit, so Poliwrath takes the Dragonite out with an Ice Beam. Last is Lance's second Dragonite. I switch into Snore, who takes a Serpent out with a few body slams. That definitely could have gone sideways. If any of those wing attacks had crit, Poly would be gone and I would lose my best counter against Lance's dragons. I'm getting some serious deja vu here. By the way, did you guys know that Poliwrath is water and fighting type? That means if I'm up against a flying or psychic type, I should switch out. That's news to me. Did you guys realize that after I messed up the first or second or third or 100th time? Man, I'm dumb. Finally, the time has come. The long-awaited battle is here as I step up to challenge my rival Blue. Blue will have the slight advantage in our fight since the level cap I play at matches Lance's Ace Dragonite at level 60. Blue's starter will be at level 63, but I'm confident in our team. Poly, Soar, Pika, Snore, Gara, Arrow. We didn't come this far just to lose in the last battle. Let's do this. Blue leads with his Pidgeot and I lead with Arrow. I chose Arrow over Pika because Pidgeot can't touch us and I don't trust Pika's frail defenses. Arrow misses his first Rock Slide and Pidgeot retaliates with a Sand Attack. I decide it's safe to gamble on another Rock Slide since Pidgeot really can't do any serious damage to us, and it pays off getting the clean one-shot. Blue sends out Gyarados next. With our accuracy and attack drops, I decide to switch out into our own Gyara to take out the imposter. Blue's Gyarados spams Dragon Rage, so I set up 2 Dragon Dances before taking out the Gyarados with Strengths. Rhydon comes out next, who gets cleanly one-shot by a Surf. Blue sends out Alakazam next, but with our speed and attack buffs, it's a clean one-shot with Earthquake. Exeggutor comes out next, but since they have bulkier HP stats, I switch into Snore to tank whatever attack he uses. After a soft Giga Drain, Exeggutor puts us to sleep before we can fire off a Shadow Ball. This time, I remember my mistake and use Sleep Talk, but Snore wakes up on the next turn instead.
Bruh.
After 2 Shadow Balls, Exeggutor is in the red, so Blue uses a full restore before putting Snore back to sleep. I decide to use Sleep Talk on the first turn, which pays off as Snore chooses Body Slam. The paralysis didn't matter since Blue uses another full restore. Judging from Snore's sleep pattern and circadian rhythm, I decide to gamble on a Shadow Ball in hopes that he will wake up this turn. And Snore continues to sleep. Okay, not the worst luck. Surely this time it'll work though. I gamble again on a Shadow Ball, and Snore continues to sleep. Luckily, Snore is naturally bulky, and Leftovers is healing any HP that we lost, but so far, I'm 0 for 3. This goes on for a while, and Blue even uses 2 full restores to drag this battle out even more. Eventually, Snore runs out of Sleep Talks, and it's down to 4 out of 15 Shadow Balls before taking Exeggutor out. That's not something that I want to go through again. Finally, Blue sends out his Charizard. At level 63, this beast is 2 levels higher than my strongest team member, and with a 109 special attack, he will hit hard. I'm confident Snore can tank a critical hit Fire Blast, so I stay in to fish for a Body Slam paralysis. That doesn't work, so I switch into Arrow. Fire Blast does a decent chunk, and at this range, a critical hit could easily knock us out. I gamble on the 90% Rock Slide, and we connect. Charizard goes down, and we've won the final battle. And with that, our journey as Red comes to an end. I had a lot of fun with this challenge. It wasn't too difficult, and I was able to keep Red's original team all the way through the run. Overall, it was a straightforward and easy challenge for my first video, and I'm so grateful to you all for watching all the way through. For my next video, I wanted to try a playthrough with Blue's team. He used many Pokemon that I've never used before, like Golduck and Machamp. I can also use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to make Scizor, Machamp, and Porygon 2 obtainable in the playthrough. And hey, if you've made it this far, please consider dropping a like and subscribing. I really enjoy playing Pokemon, and I've always wanted to try a Pokemon challenge like this. Tell me what you guys would like to see for future videos, and I'll be sure to read each comment. Until next time, this has been Magnus. I'll catch you guys later.